In the bustling world of business, you're either moving forward or falling behind. Welcome to For Action Takers Only, the podcast and Facebook group where dreams become reality. We're here to fuel your ambition, sharpen your skills, and inspire your entrepreneurial spirit. Dive into the sea of opportunities with our insightful discussions, expert advice, and powerful success stories. From investment strategies to business building tips, we've got it all. Are you ready to take your first step towards your dream life? Join us on this exciting journey, unleash your potential, and watch as your dreams transform into your reality. Remember, inaction is the enemy of progress. So get on the action train with For Action Takers Only. Because the time to act is now and the place to start is here. For those who dare to dream and have the courage to act, the world is their oyster. For Action Takers Only, where dreams meet action. Tune in, take action, and transform your life. Your future self will thank you.
And welcome to For Action Takers Only. My name is Todd, and I'm your host, also the creator. So our podcast is about newbies in business and real estate investing. And tonight I got on Clint Westerhold. He is from Streator, Illinois. He is a newbie investor looking to get into SubTo. He's working with a lot of people in SubTo, and I'm going to bring him in and let him tell his story.
Hello.
How's it going, Clint?
It is going well, my man.
How you doing?
I'm really good. I'm really excited to be here. I feel like a schoolgirl because
right?
I've been in the For Action Takers Only, like the group. I've been in the groups like almost since it started.
Yeah, you have.
I don't even know if you know this, but I'm still a moderator in the group.
Yes, I know. Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
you were one of the first ones, and so I appreciate you coming and hanging out. He is an OG and For Action Takers Only OG. We'll say you're going to be one of the first.
It's cool.
So tell us about yourself, man. How old are you?
I'm 27. As you said, like I'm from Streator, Illinois, middle of nowhere. We have like an interesting like industrial market around us, so it's just mostly like industrial jobs. So real estate really isn't something that people really push, and when you do see it, you see like paint on a pig type stuff. You know, you don't see real investors actually investing in the community.
Okay.
And that's something that kind of struck me a little bit wrong in the way, you know, just looking at it like, hey, like, you know, we probably shouldn't be doing this. We should really be setting a standard instead of trying to, like, not necessarily reinventing the wheel, but at least pushing the wheel a little bit farther down the road.
Right. You're absolutely right. So how at 27, how did you come across or decide to get into real estate?
So I worked at a factory job. I don't know if I'm allowed to name drop them in here, but I was working at a factory job, and I was sitting at my break, and I was on Periscope, which many people might not know what that is, but it was just like an app, kind of like Facebook Live now, where you just kind of pop into people's random videos around. And Cody Sperber actually was on a live, and he was explaining, he was like, you know, I'm tired of people coming to me telling me that they're broke. You know, that like they have no ambition to do anything anymore. Like I would do this, I would do that. You know, I like if only I had, like, I don't have any money, I don't have the resources, I don't have the credit, I don't have the time. And he was just like, you're just doing nothing but making excuses. Mm-hmm. Like, if you really wanted to push yourself and do something, then go do that. And it was really just the person that intrigued me at first. And then I kind of fell down the rabbit hole, and I joined with him. And I just watching the way a lot of the real estate people operate was great. I got to see how everyone kind of works together in a community. I didn't know how well a community really worked together until I got into the SubTo community. Now, I'm not a SubTo member, but like the SubTo community is just nothing but love, all the way around. Like all the way around, they don't care what level you're at. They're like, no, hey, listen, like if you don't know what steps to take, that's great. Join my team. Let's go. Let's move. Like,
well, you're right. There are some like that, but then you also got to be careful because there's some that are there. You know, there's bad in every bunch. The community is great, and Pace has got a good hold on it, so there's not too many scammers. But you still gotta be a little careful. There's some people that aren't really doing the deal as they should, and they're just trying to make a quick buck and making a lot of mistakes, and it could cause people problems.
Yeah, that's true.
So you're not in. You haven't joined SubTo, but you're actively looking for SubTo. You work with some SubTo people, though, right?
I do.
Okay. And who drop some names? We want some names.
Oh man, I'm gonna drop some good names. Well, I mean, you yourself, right?
Right.
Got to give respect to the OG. I got to give it to you.
You the OG.
I met Josh Grimmett through you actually when we first started connecting. Josh Grimmett is amazing, amazing individual.
He's a good dude.
KJ Mudd, I just met them the other day. I was going through, some stuff with them. Javen McGee, like I would name drop him. He's been really helpful and really patient with me throughout every sort of the process.
Really?
He's really good at being a connector, like myself.
Mm-hmm.
So he has been able to kind of help me like slow down a little bit instead of running at the giant, with my little stick, being like, "Hey, come down." He's like, "Hey, man, you should probably plan that out first before you start trying to trying to go attack the giant," which has been nice.
So when did you come across like SubTo or Get Creative, the Get Creative stuff?
2 years ago, actually.
2 years ago?
Yeah. So 2 years ago, I was watching. There was an event that they were going to run that Cody Sperber and Pace Morby was in part of the group. It was Pace, Cody, Jerry Norton, Jamil Damji, and I believe Dean Graciosi. Okay. But like they were all doing like this little live thing, and I was like, oh, cool. And Pace's energy really just like I just like absorbed the energy. Like the energy that he throws out is something else. So I was like, oh my, who is this guy? Right? I was like, who is this Pace dude? So I ended up like watching a lot of his videos, and then got in the free group, was really connecting with a lot of people, and like things just kind of spiraled from there in a good way.
Mm-hmm. So have you made any deals yet, or are you still trying to get your first?
So I have done a couple deals. I will tell you right now, I want a deal so badly because I've been stagnant for the past couple of months. That's on me, right? That's a personal accountability because I haven't been consistent.
Okay. But you got some under your belt.
Yeah, I do have a couple under my belt.
That's awesome.
SubTo is a different. I love the strategy because it helps remove problems within, like, when Pace says find their bunnies, that's really like that's a real thing. I know a lot of people think of that as a metaphor, but I know he was using it only as a metaphor because he actually found the bunnies and was doing the whole thing. So
right,
being able to help people and on a personal level is what I want to be into. I want to be able to help people on a personal level and be able to help them grow from whatever situation they were in. So,
So is that what now with what was your goal getting into started with real estate? What was your goal 2 years ago when you found this? Hey, I'm going to start trying to do this. I'm going to start connecting with these people. I'm going to watch and learn.
I got to be honest with you. It was money oriented. I was like, I got to make money. It wasn't necessarily that I had to make a bunch of money. I was just like, I have to make some money to prove to myself that this is still going to be worth it for me. That I still wanted to be in real estate. And then I actually was talking to another SubTo member, Adrian Miller, and he was like, man, he's like, if money is what you're in it for, he was like, you're in the wrong business. He's like, I'm not saying you won't make money in this business. He goes, but you will be dealing with way more stuff just trying to get a check. He's like, you will end up hurting yourself emotionally trying to chase the check rather than trying to help people with a deal and actually genuinely connecting with people.
I can see that. Definitely. So what has been your experience? You watch, what do you do? Watch the Get Creative YouTube channel? And is that where you started learning a lot of your stuff, or where would you gather most of your information to learn how to start doing this?
So I started watching the Get Creative podcast. I was watching Pace's his YouTube channel, and then I started watching Laura Morby's. And,
oh, really?
Yeah, and the way that she walks through a deal just intrigues me. I'm really big on numbers and systems, so the fact that like the way that they teach is just so it's magnetizing, and so that's kind of how I got to learn I got to watch the elephant challenge. The first elephant challenge, I was just in analysis paralysis.
Okay.
And there was a lot of people taking action around me, but I never did anything in that first elephant challenge.
Mm-hmm.
The second elephant challenge that we did, it was like they wouldn't let me not do anything.
Okay.
They were
Well,
like,
that's
"Hey,"
good.
they're like, "No, you need to do something. Like, if you want, this is what you really want. You have to do something."
Well, yeah. When you join SubTo, they put some accountability people on you. So when you first start, they're calling you every a couple weeks and, hey, what are you doing? What are you up to? You know, and you just talk to them. Hey, this is what I'm doing, and I think it's great. It's like an accountability coach. They're there to help you, push you along. What do you need? What do you want? It's been really awesome. Hey, you got some light. I was going to ask you if you.
Yeah, I was like, "Wait, where did my light go?"
So Clint brings me a lot of wholesale deals that are under contract, and we try to find buyers. I haven't had any luck to lock one up for him yet, but we're still looking for it. But what other?
We're gonna get one. We're gonna get one within the next 30 days. I'm speaking that one into existence.
All right, we will, and I'm going to hold you to it. So I'll keep comping your ones that you got. If you got some, let me know. I would just say, like we were talking earlier, try and find our own. We'd be better off instead of finding like some of the teams that are already out here that are shopping, because there's a lot of teams out here. You mentioned one, the KJ Mudd's team. I would suggest, have you tried to get on their team?
I have not. I have not talked to them about that yet. I should.
I think you should. I don't think it requires you to be a member of SubTo. I'm not sure. But I was on his team for a little while, and they're good resources. They're very organized. I think it would be a good thing for you if you could.
Yeah, I think I'll message them right after we get off the podcast. Actually,
yeah, I'll mention it to Joe too. Say, hey man, you ought to get this guy on your team. He's really hungry for it.
Yeah, I really like. I want to. I just want to be doing deals. Like, right. I don't even care about the money at this point. You know, like I just want the consistency.
Right, I hear you. But you say you're into numbers, and so you're more like an integrator. Then you're into the numbers and systems.
Yeah, I'm. You know what? I would say I'm definitely a merge of a visionary and an integrator. I like to take a step back. Like I really like to get my get my hands dirty and get into numbers and systems and everything. But one of my favorite things to do is to take a step back from that and kind of look at it and go, okay, like what things can I pull inside the box? You know?
Okay. Yeah.
Like thinking outside the box is one thing, but being able to pull things inside of the box that's already been created is another.
Okay. No, I'm going to recommend the team again, because if you're good with that and you're good with pulling stuff inside of the, outside of the box into the box, then that's a team player. You need, and if people are looking for integrators and system managers, I mean, if you're good with that stuff, when I start building a team, I'll be looking for you. I'll be saying, hey, Clint, I need you back over here. You're going to have to quit over there.
Hey, they're going to have to take that one with a grain of salt, because I'm coming right back to you.
Yeah. So what are your goals with this? When you first got started, what were you thinking, and how has that changed?
When I first started, the goal was just to make enough to cover my income, what I already had, just to replace the W-2 thing. But I'll be honest with you, I already had sort of a real estate business, but I wasn't really doing a whole lot. My wife passed away in 2020 from cancer, and so for me, it kind of like it was almost like the storm felt like I was in the middle of it, but it was the most calm, right? Like I knew there was chaos happening, so much chaos happening around me.
Wow.
That it was like I needed to figure out who I wanted to be to move forward, because it hurts and it was gonna hurt, but that's why money was a big thing, because I was like, if I can just prove to myself that I can make X amount of money, it was just to replace the income. I was like, I can just deal with my feelings and just do that. I didn't really give myself another purpose.
All right. Now, will you bring up that? That I couldn't imagine dealing with something like that. A wife, a significant other passing away. I've never been married. But I don't know. Especially you're pretty young, dealing with something like that at your age. And then doing this stuff. Here is what I'm leading into: mindset. Getting into business and real estate. Mindset is really important. So you're starting out. You get started and you're going through a hard time. How did you deal with that, or were you looking at this to deal with your loss?
That's an interesting question because if you would have asked me this, if you would have asked me that question while I was in that mode, I would have told you that I was putting everything into my business. I was going to throw everything I could into the business to not necessarily escape, but have a way of pushing myself forward. Like almost like I was going to cast a line or a rope, and then I was hoping that it was going to pull me along.
Right.
Um, now I think about it, like I've had to reshape myself as to who I am. So my goals have really changed.
Okay.
I want to do, personally, I want to do a lot of pad split stuff. I want to do like community living. Um, I think it helps reduce, like there's a lot of people out here that are just single people
Mm-hmm.
that just want like a room to live in. They don't want chaos. They don't want any of that. They just want a room, and they want to pay like $650 to $700 for the room and just move on with their life
Right.
until they can obviously graduate into buying a home. And I want to set up a system to where I can, these people can be implemented into these, and they can choose to go wherever they want, obviously. But I want to be able to be able to show them the real estate knowledge that I can attain, so that they can make proper decisions moving forward. Because
Okay.
they don't teach us real estate in school. They don't teach us anything in school.
Not at all. No, I stayed away from real estate for a long time because of fear. Because yeah, it's not taught in school. It's not told about. The only thing I knew of real estate was when we moved here to Texas and sold the house. And actually, why I think I have fear is because of all the trauma my folks went through. I mean, they were arguing, fighting when selling the houses to move here and get moved. It was a big mess, and I saw a lot of stress and anger, and I think I just stayed away from it once I got old enough. My mom, see, I got an inheritance when I turned 18 from my real dad dying, and so my mom was always trying to push her. You ought to buy a house. You ought to buy a house. I was like, hell no, I don't want a house. I don't want that's too big. That was just too big of a thing for me
Yeah.
back then. And it stayed that way for a long time. And I don't know
Do you
why.
regret that?
Huh?
Do you regret that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I do have some regrets because with that inheritance, I could have had a different life probably. If I would have done things different, but I had my mind, my 18-year-old mindset. I went to music school. I wanted to be a rock star. I moved, a rock star. I moved to Hollywood, went to music school and pursued my dream. So it didn't work out, but I still went after it.
Okay.
So
Hey, you're here now, right? I mean, you're
right.
living. You're. Did you ever picture yourself being here, like just like doing a podcast and like being able to take on so much all at once? I mean, you guys just had a hurricane, and you're
Right.
still and you're like, yeah, I'll still get on this podcast with this guy and still.
Well, I don't like sitting around. I am the action takers only. I love that. And I would hear Pace say it. That's how I got the name. This is for action takers only. He would say this, and I was like, oh, I love that because I'm one that I don't care if I don't know what to do. I'm still going to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, take the imperfect action, make the mistakes. And well, that's me. I've been doing that my whole life. I've been taking mistakes. I got into stock investing. Just hey, I'm just going to do it, and lost a shit ton of money. And and I had to learn, but it's all learning lessons anyway. So I tried not to let the fear rule me as much as I used to when I was younger.
I had there was a book that I read called The Art of Possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Love the book because like I really don't recommend reading the audiobook, just not for the sake of like it's just because it's the way it's set is like symphony wise.
Mm-hmm.
And so you really gotta listen. Like, you really have to like have an aptitude for listening to boring people. It's
Yeah.
really like you gotta be really willing to like have the mental strain to get through it. But one of the things that they may mention in the book is whenever you're making a mistake, laugh at yourself. Like if you make the mistake, you're like, man, that's great. You're like, at least I had the opportunity to make the mistake.
Well, there you go. You hit the nail on the head. At least I had the opportunity to make the mistake.
Yeah, it's something I'm trying to live by. I'm not trying to make mistakes, but I am. Like I'm not trying to intentionally make mistakes, but I'm gonna do my best regardless. So if I make some mistakes along the way, I have to accept that.
Mistakes are our best learning tools. I don't know. That's how I always learned. I mean, when I screwed up, then I really screwed up bad enough, it really stuck with me. And then, okay, I remember this,
Yeah.
certain things will stick when I do it bad enough. It's like, okay, mental note, don't do that one again.
Yeah. Yeah. You definitely learn from pain.
All right, you brought up some books. What are some more good books you like to or have helped you out in this industry?
So I don't know if he's in this group or not. Probably not. There's a guy named Isaac. When I first wanted to join SubTo, I was like, I made the phone call. I went through the introduction call and everything. And
Okay.
this guy, one of the people on Pace's team, his name is Isaac. I think I
Mm-hmm.
still have his number. Isaac was like, hey, listen. He was like, right now is not the right time for you to join SubTo because of your mindset. He was like, you need to fix that first before you want to move forward. He was like, because Pace keeps a very tight knit on who's like on his people. He was like, so if you don't fix, who you want to be in this industry, he was like, when you join SubTo, it's not going to be of any use to you because you're not going to see the resources. So
Yeah.
there were 2 books that he read that he sent to me, and both of those books I love to death. And one of them is my favorite book of all time, The Go-Giver.
Okay.
I know Pace has mentioned it a couple times. You always hear people saying that like Pace is a go-giver. I believe you to be a go-giver, Josh to be a go-giver. A lot of people in SubTo are just go-givers.
Mm-hmm.
So that one really hit home for me because I always felt like I was doing a lot of work without any reward. I felt like I was putting in the work day in and day out, and I was like, man, I'm not getting anything out of this. And in the book, they were kind of like, well, I mean, if you're expecting a reward, then yeah, you're probably not going to get anything out of it. You have to be willing to learn and understand what the reward is, and be willing to accept the gift. Like you have to be willing to accept other people's help and bite that, swallow down that piece of pride and be like, hey, listen, like I need help on this, or I'm lacking in this area. Can we like do something together so I can learn better?
Right.
And that was hard. That was a hard pill for me to swallow. I've always been an independent person.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard when you're like, oh, I'm an independent person. Like I'm the first person in my family to be doing this type of stuff. Jumping into like I want to leave a legacy, but like to do that, you really have to be willing to be a go-giver. You have to be willing to give without the expectation of getting something back.
You're absolutely right. I mean, it is, and it does play out all the time. It just works out. The go-giver. I don't look at myself as that. I've always been one that's just, I don't know. I don't think of myself as a go-giver, but people say that, and I've always tried to do things helpful.
You definitely are a go-giver because you've given the group, you've given people, this is the space for people to be able to talk and for newbies to be able to, kind of jump on and get a feel for the community, not even just the SubTo community, but your community that you have. Because in the group for Action Takers Only, there's people posting about deals all the time.
They're starting to post about deals, and I don't know, it's a trip. It's kind of taken its own life, and it's like, wow, I didn't you asked the question earlier, did I ever see myself doing this? No. When Pace, see, this podcast started and the group started out of a homework assignment from Pace. And he said, here, I want you to do this. I want you to start a podcast, do a YouTube channel in your name, and interview 3 people. And I was like, fuck, I don't want to do that. I do not. I mean, and really, I was really like, man, I really just do not want to do that. I didn't know anything about podcasting, and I'm like, what am I going to do on this? I'm not scared of social media. I'm not scared of being on here. I did I had a TikTok for a while, and I had my Facebook, and I've somewhat controversial in some things, I guess.
I do see your TikTok. I do watch your TikTok quite often.
That's a new one. My old one I had like 5,000 followers, but it was they might, I don't know. I wasn't liberal, let's put it that way. And they might call me a MAGA Republican. I don't care. But I'm not really a Trump fan. I never really was a fan of Trump, but I do, I am more of a conservative, I guess, politically, if you want to think of it. I don't care about politics. I think politics is bullshit. It's all, we need to be done with that. Politics should be illegal.
Yeah, it's definitely a mirage. they make it seem like it's something that it's not.
Right.
Like we have power, but
Well, it just robs so many of so much.
it does.
So, all right, let's get back to it. So what you're doing, are you focusing on wholesaling now? I know you said you want to do pad splits, you want to get in pad splits, but what are you focusing on right now to get things kicked off?
So as of right now, I'm actually I'm doing pretty well with it. I'm gaining some more traction. I'm being a PML connector. So I've been a connector. I've got private money lenders that are willing to lend. I actually just came across someone who wants to be a credit partner. I have no idea what to do with that. he was like, I want to be a credit partner and I want to leave my W-2 at some point. He was like, can you help me? And I was like, I'll find a way.
Well, yeah, that's something to look into. There you go.
Yes.
So you're definitely, yeah, that's a connector role. You're looking at ways to help people out in any way you can.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I've been playing connector, playing almost puppeteer with resources, just trying to get people in the right rooms with the right people. I'm working on 2 deals in Chicago right now that I need private money for, but not a lot of people like to lend in Chicago. It's just
How come? Why? What have you heard any reason why?
I really haven't. I've asked, and anytime I have asked, they're like, well, it's just Chicago, and I don't understand what that's about. Maybe I have the wrong resources for that. Like I need to evaluate my resources and my private money on where I'm like the deals I'm sending them, because if I can find better private money lenders for Chicago deals, I've got Chicago deals all day long.
Well, yeah.
So it's just been like a little bit of a weird standstill.
Well, have you asked any of the private money lenders that you work with? How come they don't?
I've asked 3 of them. One of them said that he really just doesn't like Chicago in general. I think it's the way we drive, but
It's the snow.
It's got to be the way we drive. The other one, or the other 2, sorry. One of them just really doesn't like Chicago. He got burnt out of a deal that happened in Chicago, and he said the guy was from Chicago, so he really just doesn't want to dip his toes back into that market because he's got some PTSD from it.
Okay.
So understandable. The other person did not give me an answer, unfortunately. I was trying to push that out of them, but I also didn't want to burn a bridge. So
yeah, see, I got an uncle that he has rental properties and he lives up in Indiana. He's in Gary, Indiana, and he stays out of Chicago or Illinois. He says just Illinois is not a good market. I think taxes is one reason. He's said insurance is one reason, and just they don't cash flow.
Yeah, I've heard from other investors that like it's not good cash flow. Where I'm at right now, like the housing market right here, like we've got houses that like the max you're probably gonna find here is like 200,000 where I live in Streator.
Okay.
And so like if it's a flip you're gonna do, you're probably gonna spend more money, doing the flip, doing it the correct way than it would be to actually flip it and throw it on the market. So it's a really good buy and hold market, but finding investors who actually want to do the flips the correct way is usually a problem. I mean, because everyone wants to maximize on their profit, and I can't knock that. Like I definitely understand. Like you gotta make a specific amount of money on your deals, and I get that. But there's just like lipstick on a pig sometimes, and it's just a little like we probably shouldn't be doing that.
Right. Yeah, it's like, come on, you can come off a little bit. No.
Yeah,
you come down a little bit, work with me a little bit, but yeah, I understand. There's people that have their set things and they don't go, but I don't know, it works for them, and I think that's it's the proper way to do, and I should probably do the same because in my first deal, it's like I crumbled quick. I didn't stick to my guns. I was like, oh, I just wanted to get the deal done though.
I didn't. When I was watching your interview earlier, didn't hear. Did you end up getting paid before you had to go to the house, like to go deal with the guy?
No.
No,
I paid, no, I didn't get paid before that. No, I had I got the lead dropped in my lap from a buddy of mine from Colorado. It was a guy he worked with overseas in Afghanistan. So he knew him and he had been hanging out with him, and he knew he's been in a bad situation in that house for a while. And they knew that I was doing this stuff in SubTo. So finally just clicked on them and said, hey, they had dropped me some other properties in Colorado. And hey, you think you could sell this one? You think you could sell this one? Or what do you think you could do with it? And I'm like, no, I don't know land. So then they came up, well, hey, we got this one. Why don't you check this one out? And then when they gave me the address, I comped it. And my buddy told me he's willing to let it go for 150. When I comped it, the ARV was 280. So right there, I was like, bam.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's kind of a no-brainer. You know, even someone as dense as me at times can, hey, that's a deal.
We can all be that way. We can all be stupid for our own,
Right.
our own
But,
regard.
so yeah, he dumped it, and once I did the ARV, I was like, yeah, that's the thing. And then he'd also said he might be willing to go down to 125. So when I finally got to talk to him, no, he wasn't willing to go down to 125. But no, I didn't get paid on the deal until I closed the wholesale with my buddy Michael. He's the one that bought it. He was going to buy it as a fix and flip. And once I closed that deal, then I got my assignment fee. And then I had to I really should have been out of the deal by that, but I stayed and helped to get him out because the guy was a mess and he didn't want to get out.
See, that's that go-giver mentality. You can't say you're not a go-giver.
No, you're right. I just have this. I don't know. It felt like it was my responsibility. I felt so I took care of it.
Good on you, though.
Yeah,
That's not a lot of people would have saw that all the way through. So
right. So tell me about. You said you've done a couple. What was your first deal like?
Oh man, so you want to hear about my first wholesale deal or my first SubTo deal?
Which one do you want? Well, let's hear about both of them. Let's hear the wholesale first.
Okay, so the wholesale deal actually was kind of wild. Ended up buying 3 houses for $15,000.
Three houses for $15,000.
Yeah, they were all in lots right next to each other. There was they were really bad. They were really distressed properties. I mean, there was the foundation was crumbling in one of them. Like one of them was completely gutted. So it had that was a plus because the other two needed almost a complete gut too.
Okay.
But what ended up happening was I was literally driving and I saw this for sale sign and I was like, huh. So, and I'm just watching Sperber, I was like, oh, I'm driving for dollars. I'm gonna go. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna pull over to the side of the road, and I pulled over to the side of the road, walked up to the sign, and it said 3 houses for $30,000. And I was like, man, 10 grand a house, even that's a steal. Now these houses were under 1,000 square feet, so nothing super crazy special. But
okay,
looking at them, I was kind of like, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get this under contract. So I did. I got them under contract for $30,000, and then I was shopping them to buyers. This is before wholesaling was illegal in Illinois without a license.
okay.
So,
you gotta have a license there in Illinois now to do that.
Yeah, you have to have a real estate license in order to wholesale in Illinois. You can do one deal a year, up to 10 grand. I know some people that say that you can double close and get away with it and everything else. My opinion, if you're gonna use it as a business model, you might as well just bite the bullet and go get a license.
Right. Yeah, you might as well. Then you can be a unicorn.
Yeah, honestly for me, it's just the commitment. I'm like, if you're gonna do that, you're gonna wholesale in Illinois, you might as well just go get it. I will probably get my license at some point here soon, just for the sake of if I'm gonna do a deal, I might as well, make sure that I'm gonna have my license for that. But this guy was really nice. What's that?
Are you studying for it?
No, I did actually. Back in 2021, I got 95% of the way through the course, and then I got myself distracted.
Okay.
I have this thing with getting distracted with helping other people for too long, and I wasn't holding myself accountable. So I can't blame that on them. I gotta blame that on myself. I wasn't holding myself accountable. But
I'm sorry I distracted you from your deal. Talking about your deal.
That's okay. This is your podcast, man. It's your floor.
Yeah. All right. So finish. Tell us about that deal.
So the guy was really nice. I ended up actually going back to him. I didn't get any bites on the deal, and I was like, "Why am I not getting any bites on this? Three houses for $30,000." I was like, "Who's gonna pass this up?" I was shopping around for 50. and then I brought it down, and he knew. I was upfront. I disclosed that to him, that what I was doing, because I was scared. Like it was like my first. It was like I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna get myself in trouble.
Yeah,
And so I was like,
I've done the same thing.
I was like, hey, I don't know if you know what this is, but I'm gonna do this thing called wholesaling. And he goes, I don't really know what that is. He goes, but I don't really care. He was like, I don't care what happens as long as I get my money in my pocket.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. So about halfway through the contract, I couldn't find a buyer. And so, I was kind of freaking out a little bit because we only had a 30-day. And so I was like, okay, I need to go back to this seller and renegotiate. I went to him and I was like, listen, I need to renegotiate. He goes, cool. He's like, I just need money, 15 grand. I was like, 15 grand for all 3 houses? I was like, okay. So I ended up finding a buyer. It was a really nice Hispanic couple that was like, hey, we'll buy that from you. They bought it from me for 35, and they paid for closing costs on both sides. I didn't, unfortunately, I just did the assignment. So I didn't get paid out of title. I got paid outside of escrow with them.
Okay. Yeah.
But I should have done it through escrow. Like learning now, like where money is sent and where money should be sent from, like everything should be sent from title.
Yeah, everything to title. Luckily, I don't know. I paid attention to that, right? That stuck with me from the get. Everything goes to title. I don't like giving money to people.
Yeah, it kind of like I there was a deal I closed actually here in March, and that deal was a really nice deal that I ended up doing. That $15,000, that got locked up under contract. I'm telling you what, I literally got that contract. I downloaded that contract off of Cody's like 1-page thing. Like it went like everything about the whole situation was just like it was dumb, but it was so dumb that we got it done. Like.
I remember you had brought me something. Weren't we on a connector something? I had a contractor or
yeah,
this was a while back. We had some kind of connector deal, and I had to get a contract together for our JV.
Yeah.
And boy, I was pissed. I remember doing that. I was like, how come nobody else is doing that? I don't know what the fuck I'm doing on this. Where am I going to find a contract?
Yeah, and it's crazy because like it's great to have that problem. It's great to have the problem of being like, hey, I just need the contract. Everything else is done. Everyone's gonna sign. You know what I mean? Like having that part. Like, I bet there was a lot of stress for you just trying to figure that out. But it's one of those things. It's like it's great to have that problem rather than having I got to negotiate. I got to do this. I got to do that kind of problem. I still to this day actually use that JV agreement that you sent me. I've used it with a couple different investors so far. So.
Well, I'm glad it's worked. I'm not really, I wasn't 100% sure on it. Now we have one together too, because I told you and I told some others that like if you bring in anything we can close, that I'll split it 50-50. So I JV'd with you and signed a JV contract on that for that.
Yeah.
So anything me and Clint will do, we'll split it 50-50.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Well, let's split it 60-40, but you buy dinner.
Nah, 50-50, you buy. No.
Oh man, you're gonna make it split. Gonna make us 50-50, and I buy. I feel like you're still getting 60%. That's kind of
that's like my 60-40. We just under the table.
Yeah. But yeah, I was doing a deal back in March that I connected on. I brought a private money lender. I probably should have got paid more in the deal that I did, but I didn't. Honestly, I didn't. I was just trying to do a deal at that point. I had a couple other deals already locked up. This one was just more of like, I just wanted to get through it. I knew they were going through a situation.
Mm-hmm.
I connected some private money to a lender or to a borrower, and I got cash apped $500.
Really?
Yeah. So I mean, all in all, like I'm able to walk away with a win because I still made money.
Right.
And it wasn't like it was a whole lot of work. Like it's not a whole lot of work to just message private money lenders like, hey, I have this deal. Let me send it to you. If you like it, tell me. If you don't, tell me. Like it's just communication.
Right. And then get your fee in there too. If here's a deal. Here's my fee for it.
Yep. And it's been nice. I found the most effective way for me to get my fee is to just be honest with the borrower. And I'm like, hey, listen, like I know you're asking for, let's say it's 35, and I'm like, listen, I'm gonna throw my fee on top. Is that okay? It's not gonna be like they're not gonna get interest on that, but like if I ask them for 40, they're gonna pay me the $5,000 fee. they're still going to get the same return they would normally get percentage wise, you know? And so it's a matter of like being able to kind of conversate with me. At least for me, it was a matter of conversating with the borrower, because the lender doesn't care.
Right.
The lender's just like, I want my money. They
Mhm.
don't really care who's getting paid or on what. They're just like, I just want my money back. That's all they
Right.
care about. And the
Right.
security. And what makes it the security is there too. But
Yeah.
getting
So,
cash at $500 was kind of crazy to me, because it happened out of nowhere. I was just kind of sitting.
well, you
Getting,
you
I was
didn't have
getting,
an agreement with them or anything, too, so they didn't really even have to do that.
yeah, I didn't have an agreement. I told them I wanted a JV agreement, and then I was like, well, you know what? I don't need one on this one. That was probably a really bad idea. You know, just like a red flag, being like, hey, like I'm like, hey, like let's not do a JV agreement. Just pay me.
Mhm.
But I should have done the JV agreement for sure. Especially because, like, you know, people in this business can be shady, so
Mhm.
you can have people go around you or whatever else. But this person was really nice. They cash apped me the money. I was sitting there eating breakfast, and I was smiling so happy. I was happy. So I was sitting there. I'm like, man, I'm like, I'm gonna order a couple more things. I was like, hey, the waitress, like, let me get dessert with that too.
Right. So, I'm gonna get back to when you first started doing this, you didn't have any experience in real estate whatsoever, right?
No. When I
Like, you
first started doing real estate, I didn't have any experience, no money, and no, I didn't have any credit either.
no
So
money, no credit, no financial experience, like
no,
financial education or anything?
no. It's all been self education through the group. You know,
Yep.
it's been through either through the group or self exploration after the fact. You
Okay.
know, people
And
mentioning things to me.
what was what was the first thing you tackled on learning? What was the first thing you came across and said, "Okay, this is what I'm gonna start doing. This is what I'll focus on and learn first." Do you remember?
Um, when I first started real estate back in like 2016, it was more of a like I focused on the wholesaling portion. You know, it was just a matter of like I was like, oh, how does this work? What are
I
the
think
inner
a lot of
workings
us
of it?
do. Yeah, I
You
think a
know,
lot of us do because we think the wholesaling is gonna be easy, the quick payouts, and we don't really have to own shit.
yeah, I gotta give these wholesalers their flowers, right? Because like, man, wholesaling is not easy.
Not
It is simple. It is simple, but it is not easy.
no. The intricate parts. You mentioned one of them too, negotiating, and I suck. I suck at negotiating because the I think the go giver in me always wants to. You know, I told my buddy Michael this too. It's like whenever I go back to start asking him to come down on price, I feel like I'm fucking him over.
hmm You know, I gotta say, I got blessed with that first deal, going back and asking him to renegotiate, because he was just like, sure, and I was like I almost had to ask myself. I was like, wait, did he really just say that?
What? What?
Yeah, I was like, hang on a minute. He was like, oh yeah, it's cool. He goes, just send me the contract via DocuSign, and I was like, hang on a minute, like he's just gonna let me send him like half price, like it was cut everything in 50%. He was just cool with that. That blew my mind.
I bet it did.
It's never been that easy ever since. So I can't. I can tell you from experience, it has not been that easy ever since that. But
No, none of them have. I got my first one, signed, the contract signed, but it was like pulling teeth to get the guy to sign it. He agreed on a price, but he would not sign the paper.
oh man,
He was like, "Yeah, I'll do it 140." Okay, no problem. And once I finally got him signed, I think he knew though. Once we got him, that Michael was gonna come down again on the price because the foundation, we found foundation repair. So
mm.
yeah, he came down again. It was like, oh, and then that was renegotiating that was the hard part because he did not want to come down. It's like, oh man, I started to think I'm going to lose this deal. I thought, man, this is my first deal. I'm going to lose it.
Yeah. But that's one of those. That's a fear right there. That's a real fear. Like once you have a deal, and you're like, okay, like everything should be good from here on out, right? It's not my work anymore. And then like the deal almost falls apart. You're like, what do I do?
Oh man, that brings up anxiety and all that. It's like, ooh, yeah,
Yeah.
this.
It brings back one of my friends called it fear lions.
Mm-hmm.
Like they feast on all the fear, and if you let yourself dive into that, it will consume you.
It will. It will. And that's one thing and that's why I started real estate is like I had to overcome this fear. There was a fear of it. And it's like, it's time. It's time to overcome. I'm in my 50s and this is a joke.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so
I mean, I'm still young, but I'm even looking at my peers, and I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, I see them, like the same people, and no shade. I'm not throwing anything bad about those people, but like, there's been the same people in the same cycle for the past 10 years. Like I've been out of high school for almost 10 years now. So like sitting there looking at them, I'm like, wait, what are we doing with our lives? Like, what are we actually
Seeing all the friends sitting there not doing nothing. All right.
Yeah, and I have one of my friends. I love him to death. He's been staying with me, but he does that. He just turned. It's his birthday today actually. His name's Bailey. I love Bailey to death. Shout out to you, Bailey. But Bailey, he does the old man grunts every time he sits down, and I'm like, man, you're 20. Like, how are you this young? And you're doing the old man grunt. I hear your knee popping like that. I'm like, that is crazy.
Yeah. Are you going to get him into real estate or what?
I'm trying.
Yeah.
It's going to take a lot of convincing, but I'll get him. I'm actually going to try to buy this duplex that I'm living in, actually. So
Really? Okay. So you had a SubTo deal you said you had. So tell us about the SubTo deal.
Yeah. So there's a SubTo deal in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. It's like 1,500 square feet. It's a really nice property. I ended up getting that only because there was a person that called a bandit sign, and the bandit sign wasn't working. Like the number wasn't working.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah. So what they ended up doing was going to the McDonald's, and I traveled to Colorado back in 2020,
Mm-hmm.
and what I ended up doing was I took a piece of paper and I wrote my number on the bottom of it, and I said real estate investor. It was a little sticky, and I stuck it underneath the desk at the McDonald's. I stuck it underneath the table, and apparently their kid was playing with it, and they ended up texting me off of that. And at the time, right, I was only thinking wholesale. So when they called me, I didn't even know that, like, I didn't know what they were calling me for. I answered the phone like it was my mom, or like my best friend. Like I didn't know who was calling. I didn't think it was a real estate investor or someone who wanted to sell their house that was calling me. So
Mm-hmm.
I was like, hey, what's up? What can I help you with? Like, what do you need? And they were like, is this Clint? And I'm like, yeah, this is Clint. They're like, well, I want to sell my property. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm like scrambling around, like get in front of my computer, like trying to I'm like, I'm like, I need to get in front of my computer so I can run comps. And like, I was freaking out. But this lady goes, listen, she's like, I want to sell my property. So I only need to make like 20, 30 grand. She's like, but I need to get out of here. Like she needed to leave. She was moving out of Colorado. Her husband was incarcerated. So she was trying to move out of Colorado. She wanted out of the area. And I was like, cool. She needed like 20, 30 grand to move. And I was like, awesome. I'm like, how do you feel about doing a deal SubTo if you've ever heard of that? And she goes, I've never heard of that. She's like, but if it gets me my 20, 30 grand, I was like, listen, let's walk you through the process. I kind of like explain a little bit of SubTo. I actually sent her the SubTo explainer that I ended up getting from somebody else. I got from a SubTo student. So it was kind of cool. I was able to send her the SubTo explainer, and she was on board with that. That property actually got cashed out as of March.
Okay.
They just cashed out on March. But the person who bought it is trying to sell it on terms again. So I'm trying to negotiate with that person so I can do another deal. I'm like, I'm gonna reach back into the
Resell the house.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna reach back in there because their idea was to do that. It was to do Airbnb, but they've been like the whole Airbnb thing that they've been watching is like the sky is falling, like Chicken Little, and so they bought it for that intent, and then now they're like trying to back out of it, so they're trying to sell it again. So I'm gonna reach out back out to them to see what they want to do with that. Hopefully that turns into a deal. But
hell yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah.
So it seems like you're coming along all right.
Yeah, I'm stumbling, like I'm walking barefooted up those stone steps, but I'm making my way.
I'm right there behind you.
Hey, you're in front of me. You got a whole podcast.
Oh yeah, well, you can have one too. It's not that hard.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know if I'd be able to do what you do because you, like, just coming off of a hurricane and cleaning up and deal with all the stress. How many days were you guys without power?
Monday through Wednesday. Wednesday we got power about 4 p.m. So, and then just cleaning up and getting everything ready. Luckily, I mean it hasn't been too bad because the hurricane kind of was a blessing because it closed down the W2 all week. They just got power back. Like I was thinking I was going to work today, but no power again today. But they just got power back this evening at my job. So Luckily, I didn't have to go into the W-2, or I'd have been probably a little more frantic. I don't know.
Yeah, it's understandable. But yeah, I mean I don't know, man. Like I would love to do a podcast. I'm gonna stick with you for a little while before I do
All
that.
right, well, Sean, why don't you if you want to do some interviews, you're more than welcome to. Also,
Yeah.
set someone. If you say, hey, you got a client you want to impress and interview, set it up.
Okay. I like that.
More than welcome. I can give you access to StreamYard. You just have to give you a little. I can send you a cheap microphone too. I got some Zoom microphones. They're not bad. These are the first ones I was using. I just bought this Shure. I got fancy since I made a deal. I got my deal. I went and got the sign, and I got a new mic.
Did you get any merch yet? You get a hat or anything like that?
I did. I got some shirts and some stickers. I only got one run. I got like a 2 extra larges, and I gave them to my kids. So I'm gonna get some more. I still got some stickers. Shoot me your address, and I can send you some stickers.
Yeah,
Little stickers, but
man.
I'm gonna get some more. I got to get some more T-shirts made too. They were all right. I'm gonna look around for a local guy. I want to try a different design on the T-shirt.
If you end up doing a hat, let me know. I do like wearing those flat bill hats. I'll even pay for it. Let's do that.
Yes, I was thinking about it because I want to do that logo, the logo of the that logo on the hat.
Okay, I like that.
I don't think my new logo would look too good on the hat. I
You're
like
gonna
my new
sign it.
logo.
You're gonna sign it though, right? I'm gonna get your John Hancock on it, so that way I can walk around.
You want to sign it?
Showpiece.
That's $100. No,
Oh man,
I'm just messing with you. Yeah, I'll sign it for you.
I'll make a deal with you. Instead of doing that, I'll get you a deal.
Yeah, all right. Give me a deal, and you got a shirt, and you got a hat. We'll get you a hat and a shirt and stickers.
It works for me. I like it.
I think I'd rather have cash. No.
you know, as much as I want to say that, like the amount of love that this community shows, like I don't want to join SubTo. I already have all the resources. I wouldn't say all the resources. I bet you there's a lot that I'm not seeing, but I already have access to a lot of resources just by SubTo members coming into the free group and just networking with everybody. So I kind of have access to the resources, but like it's really a respect thing. Like I've learned more value than I could ever pay into getting into SubTo. And so like that's why my goal is to get into SubTo as soon as possible.
Yeah. I would just the community is tremendous. It's been a tremendous thing. I don't think I would still be here if it wasn't for the community and people I've met. I'll be honest with you there. Because like doing the power hour here in Houston, those were very helpful. They're not going on right now, but when I first started in SubTo, I was going to power hour.
I remember.
Yeah.
I remember seeing your power hour, and you were doing little videos, right? You were
doing
videos at the
I was doing more content back then. Yeah, Troy, it was more content, but those were tremendously helpful in many ways, just to keep me motivated. And then, networking with people, I made some good friends that helped make friends. So it's like, so if I didn't have that, I don't know that I'd still be here doing this.
Well, I'm glad you are, to be honest with you. I mean, I know I've got your number and everything, but like watching the way that you guys communicate through the Facebook group is like, I don't know. You guys are really like. I just saw Dakota said that he wants to do a reverse wholesale deal. I don't even know what that would even like. Sitting here thinking about it, I'm like, I don't know what that means.
Reverse wholesale. Just you find the buyer first. Pretty much, you're going backwards. So you're not getting the house under contract. You have a buyer for a wholesale deal, and then you work it that way. Pretty much.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. But like in my brain, I was like, this is another strategy I don't know about. Like, what is?
No,
I was thinking there's another tool in the tool belt there that I was like, man, do I not have that?
No, and that's kind of what I'm thinking about too. Is like, there's a lot of people wholesaling, so I'm wondering about it. And like you said, it's simple, but it's not easy. There's certain aspects to it that I suck at negotiating. I suck.
Well, like, I mean, no offense to the wholesalers, and like I said, I got to give them their flowers, because doing what they do is not easy. So, I understand a lot of them having to be vigilant and really, being a little aggressive, but to sometimes you got to make sure you're really vetting these wholesalers, because like if they a lot of them are just daisy chaining the deal, and
exactly.
So like trying to make sure it's that it's actually a deal, and two, like who's the original person that needs to sign this contract? Because like if we got 8 people that have signed a different contract and we have no idea who the original person is, that's a problem.
Right. And that's one thing I talked to a Lance Riggin about that. I was like, hey, because when I first started, remember, I think it was the first one I had to do these contracts, and we were trying to get something done with a couple other people. I think Josh was in it, or no, it was Brandy. And we were trying to get something done, but then I realized, like, this doesn't seem like a good idea, having like connectors, like 10 connectors on a deal. It just didn't seem like something good to. So I asked Lance about it. He's like, hell no, he stays away from it. He's like, no, I stay away from those. He says he'll get into a deal with a connector if there's only 1 or 2 on it, no more than 2. After that, if there's more than 2, nope.
I definitely understand that, because if you really pay, like, I'm a connector, right? So I'm throwing this at myself included. When you have connectors that are like connecting with connectors and then with another connector, not everybody has the same communication style. So
Right.
when you have a connector who's working with a newbie connector and then working with another connector who's probably a newbie, it makes it difficult for the communication styles to line up. So when you're like, hey, I need this information, they're like, okay, I got to go chase the information now, right? So they got to go down the line to go chase all the information. You're like, man, we should have this stuff readily available, especially if you're a good connector. You should be able to at least have direct access to whoever it is that you can ask the information to, or have access to that person who has that information, right?
Well, that's the thing. When there's 10 connectors, it's going to be hard to have direct access to the right person.
Yeah, and that really minimizing that is like, I'm all for everybody getting paid, for sure, for about everybody getting paid. But sometimes when there's too many hands in the cookie jar, you really can't pull it out to understand what's going on.
You got that monkey effect. You got the hand grabbing something, and you can't get it out of the cookie jar now.
Yes,
so
sir.
It's like, so yeah, I started avoiding that. Because I tried doing more connector. I thought, well, wholesaling connector, I can do this. This would be easy enough. But connecting, it's like I didn't see now. I still fail, and there's training on it, and I've gone through some of the training, but I still don't. It doesn't snap with me. I don't see how to make the money. Okay, I know you can make little bits here and there, just connecting and then doing the JVs. But I was like, well, that's not really what I want to do. That's not a business plan I want to.
It's difficult. It's difficult in a business plan, because when you're doing it, it's like you are literally like, okay, I need to complete this, make the connection, and then move on to the next one, do the same thing. You know what I mean? And so a lot of times you're not really looking at underwriting. So a lot of these connectors aren't paying attention. I'm trying to now learn underwriting. So if there's anybody out there that can teach me some underwriting, let me know. Because I talked to Josh, actually. He said he was gonna send me something or get me hooked up with something so that I can kind of learn. Because I mean, I've seen Pace's videos and stuff like that, but I want to make sure that I'm really, my learning style is more of like a kinetic, and so I want to kind of get more hands on and be able to ask personal questions to people doing deals. But underwriting.
Get with Josh, man. Get with Josh. Start telling him and start trying to take on some of his work. He's overwhelmed right now. He's doing a lot of underwriting. So if you could help him out, I wouldn't doubt he might be able to, help you out.
Yeah, I'll
reach out to him, talk to him.
Yeah, underwriting is definitely important. I think as a connector, if you're doing, no matter what kind of deals you're doing, because if you can at least bring that skill set, it makes it so much easier to make the connect. Like if you know what a deal looks like.
Comping, if you underwrite, you know a deal and not. And if comping, you can kind of tell a deal. I think it took me a little while. Comping, I'm not secure on my comping abilities, but I can see where it goes. Underwriting, no, I wouldn't. So like with a business or anything like that, I wouldn't be able to. I actually have Josh underwriting. I found a hotel in Canyon Lake that I want to buy, and Josh is underwriting it for me.
Oh, what's your exit on that? Are you trying to?
I want to keep
it to me.
It's a little 8-unit, and it has a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house in Canyon Lake, Texas. So that's right, and it's in the hill country in Texas, and that's where I want to live. That's just where I want to be. Okay. And when I found this, I was on vacation last week. So when I in Wimberley, and we were driving around and by Canyon Lake, and I saw the place. I was like, holy shit, because it's right on the lake. It's right at Boat Dock 1 on Canyon Lake. I was like, oh man, this would be perfect. And it's got a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. And the owners that own the business, they live in that house. They ran the hotel for 20 years, and now they're getting out. So Josh is underwriting it, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to buy it. And I also kind of mentioned it to somebody else too, and they're like, "Hey, we're interested in it." Well, don't buy my hotel yet.
I hope that comes to fruition for you. I hope that you can get your deal.
We'll see. Either I'm going to buy it or I'm gonna wholesale it, or I'll get maybe a finder fee on it or something. I don't know.
If you need private money for it, you let me know.
Yes, I do. That's well, if I'm going to buy it, I will need private money. So let me ask you this. I have shit credit.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't lie. I have shit credit because of COVID. I let some things go. My job with my W-2 at that time was they were pushing the jab on us and threatening us, forcing it. So I was like, nope, ain't gonna happen.
Yeah. Well, we just talked about this a little bit earlier, but there might be a use for my credit partner. That might be a JV between you two. That would be. I'm going to speak to him just to kind of see what we can do there, and maybe I can get you guys on the phone and kind of go through that. But that might be a use.
I'm paying for some credit fixing right now, but I'm wondering why, because it hasn't really made that big of a difference. I'm not doing the right things. So
hey, we never are. We're never doing the right things for credit. We don't really know how the system. Well, I don't really know exactly how the system works. I even registered myself as a credit repair specialist at one point. And like going through all the information, like a lot, sitting there, I didn't spend, more than 100 hours looking at it, but still, it's still confusing to me. I'm like, I still don't understand how this adds up, but okay.
All right, so you looking at all that stuff. So you have the entrepreneur mindset. So you've been like, even probably, fresh out of high school, you're starting to think right away, instead of getting a job, how can I make money instead of getting a job, right?
I actually I did not have an LLC, but when I first got out of when I was in high school, I had an electronics repair business. I was fixing people's iPhones, and like they had an issue with like their PlayStation or their computer, or they were having technical issues with their TVs or stuff like that. Like I was very much like, let me tinker with that just to fix it.
All right, Clint, I'm gonna task you something. You seem to be you said integrator, systems, and connector. Mm-hmm. Why don't we work on building a team?
Yeah.
Start working on building a team.
I'm down with that.
We'll have to define what we're gonna do, what we want to do. Maybe a team not just for real estate, but also to help, like have you help with podcast, Facebook group. What do you think?
I like that. I actually have a couple people in mind that I think that have interesting skill sets that we'd be able to utilize. So,
okay. All right. So now we got to figure out, put together a team and how we can get each other to work, and we can use this team to close deals.
Hey, let's do that.
That's the goal. So start writing down your thoughts.
Yeah. I actually have a notebook next to me, so I'll actually start doing that. Actually, right after we get off of here, I'm gonna start brainstorming.
Cool. I know Josh is one I'd like to work with too, and I know you've worked with Josh. Josh is a great guy. He's when I first got in, Josh was getting on calls with me, and man, he helped me out a lot, because there's a couple times when I first got there's like, I don't know if I did the right thing. Maybe I should just drop out of this. And talking with Josh, I decided, no, I don't need to drop out. I'm doing the right thing. So
we're glad you're still in here.
Yeah, me too. I'm not a quitter though. My buddy Michael even says, "Oh, I don't take you as a quitter," because I've been calling. He had me cold calling lists. I was doing the foreclosures, boy, and that was brutal. And now he's giving me more. He has his VA schedule me some calls. So he works with me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, Josh has been a blessing for me. I was actually on their team in Tennessee, and then I kind of fell off a little bit. But I would, if he lets me, I'm gonna call him out. If he lets me, I'd like to piggyback off of him for underwriting for sure.
I don't know. Get creative. It's like, I would say, hey man, I want to learn underwriting. I know Todd told me you got a lot of work. Can I help you with that work? Is there anything I can help you do? And help him with his workload.
Yeah, I'll have to do that.
He's got the W-2 too, so he's juggling his W-2 and then doing all this underwriting for land. He's doing a lot of underwriting for Lance Riggin.
Oh, perfect. Because I mean, I have more time available to myself than I need.
So I would approach it. He might say yes. He might say, you never know. But and if he says no, then look at other ones that are doing it too. There's a lot of people doing it. Again, too, you're a go-getter, man. You keep bringing this stuff and you've been sticking around. So I would also say, reach out to the MUDs. I'll put a word in for you for the MUDs.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
No problem.
I'm trying to help them find buyers for their deals right now. I'm looking at it.
Yeah, no, you sent me a. He's got a lot.
They've got 31 deals they're trying to dispo. And
Yes.
I was like, man, even if I just get just one,
Okay, they have all the action takers here in Houston. Not all of them, I should say. But all right, you got KJ Mudd, Joseph and KJ, and then you have Bradley on their team. Who else was on their team? There's some other people on their team that they're bringing them a lot, so they're out there kicking ass, and they're really doing it. So
like I'm missing out there. I might have to try to see what I can do there.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. And then two, also, hey, you're not in SubTo, but something was just announced today that he's going to be on a rampage to get people their first deal, in 7 days.
I did see that it's happening tomorrow, actually,
Okay.
9 a.m. I believe his time.
So there you go.
Yeah.
So some other things to hit them up. I'd be hitting them up. Hit the Buds up and Josh. Those two, because I know they're good. Both of them are good.
Absolutely. I'm gonna be deep diving a lot. I'm really glad that I've been able to be on this podcast because, like, I know the last time we tried to do this, it was kind of a me thing for sure, but I want to make sure that, like, it's a blessing to be able to be here, watching everything from the beginning all the way to now. It is wild to see how much traction you've gained. Like, it's just
gained traction a little bit. I think the podcast hasn't really gained traction yet. That's the other thing I got to find out is how to get this thing.
I'll be pushing it.
Cool.
I'm gonna put it on every deal. I'm like, listen, like, you can write anything into a contract. So I'm like, listen, part of the contract is you have to watch at least one episode.
Subscribe for Action Takers Only podcast.
That's right.
Cost nothing. So
just
cool, man. We've gone over an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been
talking for a while.
Yeah. So I'm gonna cut it down now. We're gonna end it. I'm gonna do my last question with you, and this is one I've been asking everybody. Okay, what is more important, and where would you get the most gain, with more positive thinking or with less negative thinking?
I would say less negative thinking, and I say that because negative energy gets absorbed a lot. So when you have life that hits you and it hits you with negative energy, and you're perpetuating the negative energy, man, that does not go very far. It will not push you very far.
No, and negative breeds more negative. So yeah, I'm agreement, and so is the author of that question. They say with less negative thinking. Now, I could see more positive thinking trying to overcome the negatives, but sometimes, I don't know if you're like me, the negative sometimes tends to just keep sneaking in over the positive, and you got to constantly.
Yeah, I think, I think life in general just kind of like things are just, life is going to happen regardless. And so negative things are going to happen. And so, being able to push yourself, like, not necessarily throwing more positive into your life, but being able to reduce the negative thinking's impact on your life is definitely big.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to end this. We're going to start working on the team together.
Yes, sir.
You're going to continue to work on your stuff, and I'll continue to work on my stuff also. But yeah, I think we should start thinking how we can do a team, because you're an integrator. Systems, I could use that. I suck at those things. I used to be good at those, like, systems, I would think, but I guess it's different. I have a different mindset on that now. So let's work towards that.
Yes, sir.
All right. And you have anything you want to? I need you to send me all the links for how to get a hold of you, like your Instagram, your Facebook, YouTube, anything you got. Please send me the link so I can put it in the description. And then I also want you to tell them about it now. How can people get a hold of you?
People can get a hold of me on Facebook, Instagram. I'm also on Alignable. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but I'm also on Alignable and LinkedIn.
Okay, you just look up your name, Clint Westerhold.
Yes, sir. You can actually if you Google my name, a lot of those things will end up popping up. I'm the only Clint Westerhold in this world, thank goodness.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you're a one and done, huh?
Yes, sir.
Not a one and done, but you're a unique one. They threw the mold out when they were done with you, huh?
Yeah, I mean, they figured, we made him. We don't need to make any more.
No more Clint Westerholds. That's good. I used to think my name was pretty, but now I found more Todd Kirchhoffs in the world. I think it's neat.
Have you guys met up for a fight yet, or?
No, never met any of them. No, one of them's a brain surgeon or something like that. So, hey, if I ever want to change my identity, hey, I'm a brain surgeon. I'm Todd Kirchhoff, the brain surgeon.
Well, now you got to get him to do a deal with you.
Right. That's what I really should do. Yeah. Find him a house.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I'm gonna end it for now. But thanks for being on. Y'all newbies, come and check us out.
Yeah. All right. Have a good one.
Let me end this.